Sounds like the storm's supposed to come in, man.
Storm? I thought later.
I was thinking you. That's why I'm asking.
Oh. Well, you got your Corvair?
Yeah.
Satapa?
No.
There's a
I
chance
think later.
I think it's later.
Oh, you could put it.
Cover in it.
You could put it down here in the
Yeah.
shop.
It's up north. It's coming.
That's coming.
You'll make it home. But it is.
Oh. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's coming.
What time is he saying it's going to start?
Looks like closer to 10, 11. Yeah.
I guess it would be a nice place for you to go visit.
So
right?
no stopping at the bar.
I was thinking of it when I saw it. I was going to say something to you.
I appreciate it.
Can't take them anywhere. They have more of a social life than I do. Yeah, but you're raising a kid. That's why you don't have one.
If you like this little face back,
Well, they're going to get.
Yeah, I'll be
it's awesome.
home long before then.
One hand. Also,
Well, I got a bunch of stuff piled in my garage. I can't
I do a little.
garage, but I have a cover.
The other thing, that's a mag.
My daughter.
This are separate. It's a mag.
Hey, man.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, Bonnie got it. Pretty disappointing. Just a steel ball. And this one double sided.
Yeah, your piece for one.
Right. Right.
I don't know, what do you call it, sanitary or
I got it.
Good deal.
the bottom. It won't go back there though.
I like it here.
Close.
I started the recording already.
Okay.
So.
But I get what you're saying.
We know how to cook barbecue a whole lot better than what we. It's a crapshoot too with 500 teams. All right, are we ready? It is 7 o'clock. I would like to call our September 20th City Council meeting to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Murdoch.
Here.
Ritter,
Yes.
and Councilmember Michael is absent.
Okay. Now, I would ask the young men of Weeblo's 3054 to help me lead in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, we've introduced them, but we have guests here. It's the PAC 34 WeWo 2 group. Thank you for coming tonight. And in recognition of your coming here tonight, we've got a little certificate for each of your scouts. And Jordan Pace. Thank you for coming tonight. First steps. Rusty Driver.
item on the agenda is a proclamation proclaiming September as Suicide Awareness Month in DeSoto. Whereas September is known around the United States as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month and is intended to help promote awareness surrounding each of the suicide prevention resources available to us and our community, the simple goal is to learn how to help those around us and how to talk about suicide without increasing the risk or harm. And whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background, and whereas according to the CDC, each year more than 41,000 people die by suicide, and whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among adults in the U.S., and the second leading cause of death among people's ages 10 to 24, and whereas the city of DeSoto is no different than any other community in the country, but chooses to publicly state and place our full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, PAC leaders, police officers, and parents as partners in supporting our community and simply being available to one another. And whereas local organizations like Suicide Prevention Services and national organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness are on the front lines of a battle that many still refuse to discuss in public, as suicide and mental illness remain too taboo a topic to speak on. And whereas every other member of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. And whereas I encourage all residents to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family and friends, neighbors over the next few days, and to genuinely convey their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. A simple phone call, a message, a handshake, or a hug can go a long ways towards helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Rick Walker, Mayor, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2018 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in the city of DeSoto, Kansas, dated the 20th of September 2018. Our next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. We have the minutes from our council meeting of September 6th and approving pay ordinance number 838. Was there a change to the consent agenda? No?
No, we
Okay.
have that change in staff reports.
All right. Anyone have a question or discussion about the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdoch. Yes. Thank you, council. Motion carried, Mayor.
Okay. Our next item is call to public. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business not listed on tonight's agenda. The comments that are discussed under call to public may or may not be acted upon by the council during this meeting. There is a 4-minute time limit. Please stand and wait to be recognized. Anyone wish to address the council tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Old business, we have none. New business. Consider revised final plat for Carriage House of Johnson County, number 6. Brett.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an item that you have seen before and actually has come through the Planning Commission and the Council as well. This is a final plat, actually it's a replat for Carriage Houses number 6. When the process was going through for Carriage Houses number 7, the county surveyor found an error in some of the property line calculations and it's required to go back and replat number 6. So basically what you have is a correction on some of the issues on the boundary items on number 6. What we've included here, what Mike's got up on the screen, is all of the building development process that we went through in our condominiums. That these are actually going to be, they're all individually owned. The process, and we'll talk about it a little bit on the next one, is each building is platted, and then once the building is constructed, building permits are issued, and then they go back and resurvey each individual unit to get down to the exact amount of square feet. So what you have basically is a replat of number 6, and then of course this next one is number 7, which is the corrected version. So
questions for Brad about the replat? Someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion. We approve the documents of the replat on the carriage house number 6.
Okay. Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Daniels,
Yes.
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Council, the motion carried.
Okay, carry on with.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And also afterwards, I will have the plats. I have them in my office, so you can stop by and sign them after our meeting tonight. As I kind of alluded to in the previous presentation, this is now final plat for carriage houses number 7, and it is done in 2 steps. As I said, the building envelope is platted, and then once it's constructed, and units are sold off, they do a final plat for correcting any kind of construction errors that might occur. The errors, it's just, the nature of construction might be off a few inches here
We like
and there.
to call them construction differences, not errors.
Differences, there you go. Sounds better. Anyway, so they correct all those and come out with the exact square footage for each unit, and then they're appropriately sold, and then, of course, it also goes to the county assessor for taxation purposes. So, anyway, we are asking your approval for carriage houses number 7.
All right, questions for Brad on it? Not a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve the final plat for carriage house of Johnson County number 7.
Second. Roll call, please.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Murdoch.
Yes.
Council, the motion carried.
Okay. Item C, discuss possible text amendment allowing digital highway monument signs.
Yes, Council. You'll recall at the August 2nd meeting, Councilman Daniels brought this issue to our attention. He had discussions with Travis Hicks about a possible text amendment that would allow an electronic highway message board sign to be installed along K10. This is an item that had come up at least once before with a proposed text amendment that would allow an electronic message board sign at the same location, or actually along K10. The most recent discussion differs from the previous decision in that under the current concept, the sign would have to be a monument type sign, couldn't be an elevated pole type sign, and would have to have some architectural enhancements to make it look basically aesthetically pleasing, rather than just having a structure, a pole type sign. The other significant difference is a commitment on the part of Mr. Hicks for a significant city advertising rotation component within the rotation cycle of the message board itself, which would provide some community benefits for us. At the August 2nd meeting, I think the intent was to bring the issue up to see if anybody had any showstopper objections to that concept. And at that time, the council all indicated that you were willing to consider an arrangement like that. So what that did was kind of spurred staff to start contemplating a text amendment to our zoning regulations that would allow the type of sign that was generally contemplated. The first step in that process was a meeting with Mr. Hicks. We had that meeting. Mayor Walker was present, as was Councilman Daniels. Had that meeting on August 15th. During that meeting, Mr. Hicks and his partner presented to us some renderings of, and I'm going to go to that staff report. First, Councilman Daniels provided some examples of the types of monument-type, landscaped, architecturally appealing electronic signs that he was had in mind when discussing this. Those are Exhibit B to your staff report. I've got them shown, one shown here. Rob, jump in at any time if you want to add to or correct anything I'm saying. This is an example, I think, from another part of the country, Philadelphia, as a matter of fact. You can't see the support structure. It's not up on a pole. It's landscaped. It's relatively low to the ground, but it is a relatively large electronic message board type sign. This is what Mr. Daniels had in mind, and I think, in his discussions with Mr. Hicks, kind of what they both had in mind. At that same meeting, we brought up the concept of the city making this a joint effort between Mr. Hicks and the city to include an element of the city's logo, a city highway monument sign, something like Eudora put up within the last couple of years, has been something that we've been contemplating for at least, several years at least, probably more than 10, about getting some sort of a city monument sign. This concept was the idea of incorporating that into the electronic message board sign. So really the main reason that I wanted this on the agenda, have this discussion tonight, is to take this one step further with the council, mostly to get your feedback on the city's involvement with Mr. Hicks on this particular sign in city funding for our portion of the logo sign. Do we want to incorporate that into his effort? And how do we want to do that? What's the process? Like I said, the monument sign is something we've been thinking about for a while. It is not on our capital improvement list, not on our 5-year funding plan, although it is we call it an honorable mention in our CIP. It's one that did gain some support with the community, I think, on the council, but didn't rise to the level of funding within our CIP. So if we wanted to make this a joint effort and go down that road, we would have to be thinking about allocating some capital improvement dollars to the effort. So what I've shown here is just kind of Mr. Hicks and his partners' initial concepts about what something might look like. That's one concept. If we want to proceed further, I think we should probably have some professional help in terms of some expertise there to integrate what our needs and his needs into the project. The staff report I've shown kind of what the results were in 2010. We were looking at a highway monument sign. I've got it shown up here. Went out for bids for that, and it came in about $100,000 at that time, which is more than we could fund. So we modified the design, sent it back out for bid in 2011 with this concept, and again, it came in at $76,000, which was actually under the at our funding level, but there were some other costs that would have been involved, and at the time the council chose not to proceed with that. The location of the sign would be, and this is where Mr. Hicks would intend his sign to be placed, just east of the Super 8 property, along the north side of K10 Highway. I think it's about 500 feet east of Super 8. There's kind of an elevated mound there where the sign would be most visible, most effective.
And his sign would have to be on private property.
Yeah, so KDOT wouldn't allow his sign to be on highway right-of-way, but when we went through the process in 2010, there is a mechanism where KDOT can allow a municipality to put monument-type signage in the right-of-way. So we could put this on that borderline, conceivably. I did include the red line text amendment that we'll be discussing. We'll be discussing this with the Planning Commission next week to work through the nuts and bolts of details of this. We've provided this to Mr. Hicks, and he's had some comments on some of the items that you see in here, but nothing substantial. There were, he had a few administrative comments about it, but we'll be initiating the discussion with the Planning Commission next week. with the intent of holding a public hearing on the text amendment in October. That will come to the council in November for final approval. So I think I want to open it up to the council from some discussion. At the end of the staff report, I just have a few questions listed there in terms of direction for us moving forward. If the council decides that we just can't be involved, don't want to be involved, or can't find the money, then the text amendment would stand on its own. And if the amendment goes through, then Mr. Hicks would be free on his own to apply for a special use permit process under the new rules for his electronic monument type sign. That discussion about the use permit does need to remain separate from our discussion about our cooperation. The use permits are public hearing items, and so we can't prejudge those before they happen. So I guess I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Rob, did you want to add anything to?
Yeah, a couple things. If you scroll back to the submissions that Travis, that one, there were some. Those were their early plans that they kind of sketched up. In the discussion with Patrick, Mike, Mayor Walker, myself, and Travis, I had not addressed it to him, but that was not the concept I was looking at and considering. At which point in the text amendment, that's where we addressed that with actually saying that the support structures and stuff need to be non-visible to where it can't just be on a pole. The other thing, as far as funding, and this is where my thoughts are, I'm fine with working with the monument sign. I think there'd be some collaboration of cost and efforts and maybe some reduction. But at the same time, and I've talked to Mike about this, and Rick was in on a little bit, also some clear delineation of whose responsibility would be whose, such that you can almost draw a line and say the monument sign, the covering the structures, all of that, that would be Travis and Ike properties, and that would allow us to be able to determine what cost would be additional to the city and the monument side of it. And as far as if we do go forward and like the idea concept, I would be really leaning towards maybe bringing back, I forget the name.
Doug Pickering,
who helped design the first one. Just he did well in the first one and worked in collaboration. But
okay, Lori, any thoughts, comments, questions?
I don't know. I don't think anybody wants my thoughts on it. A monument sign is nice. Everybody likes the sign going into Eudora. But the cost of a sign, and now all of a sudden saying, okay, let's spend money on this when, we have a lot of other projects. Still battling with soccer fields. Still would like to see bathrooms at Riverfest Park. Still would like to see safe sidewalks and roadway down to Riverfest Park. There's a lot of other things too that it makes it hard for me to all of a sudden, because he wants to put someone wants to put a billboard sign up, that we're trying to sell it as a best communication tool. And I'm not really sold on that. I think it's going to be an advertising tool, but I don't know if it's going to be the best. I don't know. That's hard to say for me as far as whether that's where people are going to find out, other than an event that's happening Saturday at 9 o'clock or something, So I'm not totally against it. I don't want to go against what the rest of the community would want, but I don't really know what that answer is right now. So it's kind of hard for me to say that this is where I want my
initial
money.
Just is there's many needs, and this is just one of them if it is a need. And okay,
that's just my opinion. So,
are you done?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Yep. Kevin?
I agree with both, but I think I would like to see, I don't have any issue with the proposal that Travis has if he's going to cover it all up, and then seeing what our cost would be to add our piece to it. I'd be interested in hearing what that cost is, and then determining, at that time, whether we'd be favorable for us to do a monument in our side or not. We have said we do have funds that we haven't decided what we're going to do with. So I'm not against it. I look forward to it.
Danny, have you heard all the discussion?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Anything you'd like to add? Questions or comments?
Yeah, the only thing that really bothers me with the joint effort, people are going to look at this and see DeSoto. So whatever they see, if a monument's included with the joint venture, they're going to say DeSoto, and they're going to hold us responsible for the other stuff that's on that billboard. So it's going to be kind of like DeSoto's back and all of that. And I just have a little bit of trouble with that, but I'm sure that could be worked out. But right now I don't know, one way or the other for me. But I thank you for letting me comment.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
I think on the cost, one of the goals that I would hope would be that in doing it in a partnership, that we would be able to reduce costs and come in less than where we would have done it on our own. And if it doesn't, then we still have the mechanism to get the electronic advertising monument style without having to put the money out.
Right. Yeah, the project would stand on its own with or without city involvement. I think it's worth pursuing, at least in some fashion, preliminary design or something, some professional assistance to help us scope or budget what we think that city extension might cost, and to give us a better. I mean, this is just a pretty rough sketch, so really it's hard to visualize exactly what that might be. But
If I can,
you may
I just wanted to bring up a couple comments, not to throw cold water at all, but as far as content, and we spoke about this at the meeting, and Travis is aware of that as well. But obviously, what's advertised or displayed on that sign, the city's not able to regulate the content. That would be completely up to the advertiser, whoever's owns the advertising part. And so, and then as we spoke at the meeting, there would be a lot of advertising that likely would be for businesses outside of DeSoto. Not that that's a bad thing, but that may be something to consider. And then the only other thing would be the long term, based on the construction of the sign. I mean, that sign, could be in excess of 50 years, and who knows if the property changes hands, the city may be dealing with a new advertiser or owner of the advertising part. And so none of that is any showstoppers, but just make those comments to understand that those would be issues that we'd have to work through.
We would still have the tool of the special use permit. I guess it would be what the term of that permit might be, whether it's a 25-year or whatever.
Sure.
Some point that could sunset, that would require. I mean, if you had an unsavory character gain control of the sign and do advertising that was not something in line with our community values, there might be some mechanism down the road to deal with that. But so back to Mike's questions. Did we address them all, Mike? Let me see.
Well, I think enough to take the next step. If everybody's comfortable taking the next step, I think what I'll do is reach out to Mr. Pickard at Indigo Design, who helped us out in 2010-11 with the existing monument, and put him in, engage him in his services, put him in contact with Mr. Hicks and his partner about kind of a joint design sort of effort. Maybe bring back some concepts and just take the issue a step further. We'll know more next week about the Planning Commission's feelings about the text amendment itself, which will eventually come here. So we'll work those on parallel tracks and then bring back when we have something new to report.
Okay.
Everybody's okay with that?
Are we good?
I don't think we need a motion, but
all right.
have that as our plan. Thank you.
4D, approve fee resolution. This is you again, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, Patrick.
This is yours.
Mr. Patrick.
I guess it's your memorandum.
Yes, Council, really pretty straightforward. The first exhibit to the memo, just in red, indicates the reductions. I think they're primarily reductions in fees that Mike presented on at the last meeting. This has to do with the building discount program. Essentially, instead of continually renewing the residential building discount program, Mike has adjusted the fees in our fee resolution to essentially provide those same discounts, but in the fee resolution, which generally speaking we don't do wholesale changes to that, there'd be nothing preventing, we usually take a look at it at least once a year, but generally it's just a handful of adjustments. So the thought would be that those discounts would essentially continue to run without any particular renewals needing to be done by the city council. So, and then Exhibit B is the clean version. I did make a bunch of formatting revisions, so it just got really crazy with the red line. So, but the substantive changes are the ones that you see in Exhibit A. Exhibit B is exactly what you're adopting. So if you're comfortable with it, we'll just need a motion to adopt resolution number 1000 as written.
And this will take effect
September 25th, the same day that the next item on the agenda will repeal that program.
All right. Questions for Patrick? Not a motion?
I make a motion that we approve fee resolution 1000 as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
and council, motion carried.
Okay. 4E, approve ordinance terminating building discount program.
And since the discount program was implemented via ordinance, to end that program to coincide with the new fee resolution, it needed to be done via an ordinance. So that's what this ordinance is just doing that.
What's our ordinance number?
2449.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve ordinance number 2449 as written.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
thank you, council, motion carried.
Okay. Executive session. None?
None this evening.
Okay. Advisory reports. City administrator.
Yes, Council. We have one other action item. I would, with your approval, like to take up. And Brad he placed it at your place as a temporary use permit for Cooking on the Call 2018. Brad, do you want to just give a quick little introduction?
Mayor and Council, this is an item that's typically on your consent agenda. Temporary use permit for Cooking on the Call, one of the barbecue events that the Chamber of Commerce sponsors at Riverfest Park. This was submitted actually to me in April with the Grasshopper barbecue also as well, and I somehow missed the Cooking on the Call portion. We did get the Grasshopper barbecue approved in time. This one is, I was reminded by Sarah a couple of weeks ago that this one seemed to be missing somehow, and sure enough, I went back to my emails and found where she had indicated that this one was coming up as well. Anyway, it's pretty much a standard item that we have, and like I said, normally it's on the consent agenda. It just kind of goes right through, but just wanted you to be aware that we had to add this item Their event is coming up in the second week of October.
Okay. Questions or motion?
Make a motion we approve the temporary use permit for Cooking on the Call 2018.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Laney,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion carried.
Mayor says yes. Patrick says I vote on that too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you do. Kind of threw me there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. What else, Mike?
I do have two more things. I think I included this in the activity report that went out earlier in the week, but I did hear from KDOT. We decided to give them one last chance to change their mind about striping the off-ramp there at the traffic signal at Commerce. I think the council decided we want to go ahead and implement that project with the signal turning head modifications because of concerns there with confusion at the intersection. It had been about 12 months since I contacted anybody at KDOT about that, and there's completely changed over the regional guy and the local guy, and we got a different answer this time, which we're proceeding with. They indicated that with certain conditions that they were okay with us striping 2 lanes there at that off-ramp coming into the intersection from the west without having to rebuild the shoulder or widen that section, which would have been a substantial cost to us. One of the conditions was that we go ahead and put the left turn arrows at the signal. So I received just yesterday from Joel Buffington a fee proposal to do the design work. It does have to be designed and submitted through KDOT for approval. So I'll bringing that back at the next council meeting for your approval to do the design work, and we'll get that project started. Move that up on it. We had it on our CIP for next year, but we'll go ahead and move it up and get it started. I think we're going to be hard pressed to still get it done this year, but we'll see. We'll move it along as quickly as we can. So that was good news. I thought really good news from KDOT. Keep asking until you get the right answer, I guess. The last thing I wanted to show you guys, we've spent the last 3 weeks in some pretty intensive training on the website. I think I sent a link out a couple of weeks ago when we first got, the consultant gave us it's a ghost site, basically. This isn't a public site, but it is on the internet. And we've been training on how to update content and manage it from an administrative standpoint here at City Hall. We're going to have a lot of people. Every department's going to be in charge of updating their own content and generating their own website, keeping that current and keeping the items on there the way they want it. The general look of the website will be consistent from page to page, but we'll have, so far it's been Brad and myself doing all the content updates, and that gets a little burdensome at times. So we spent the last 3 days on that. We are planning to go live with this on October 4th, but there's a website. If you type this into your browser, you'll get there. It's just ks-desoto.civicplus.com. If you need the link again, I can send it again to you. But if you type this into if you type it into a Google search, it's not going to show up. So I think general public, except for Weeblos here tonight who are hearing this, can go and look and see some of this content needs updating. There's some pictures on there that aren't right. So we're going to be spending the next 2 weeks getting this ready to go live. So if you guys want to have a look, all the menu items should be functional except for the search bar here on the main page. That search bar won't work until it goes live. Everything else should work. So if you want to click through, look at content, look at pictures, whatever, and get me your comments. So before we go live, we can fix whatever needs to be fixing. I'm kind of asking you guys to work as editors here in the next couple of weeks. We'd appreciate that. The other thing on the website is under the governments tab, we have City Council members here. So all your photos are up there, and if you click on any one of your photos, you go to your own page. There is room here for a bio, and our consultants have encouraged us to generate bios for every council member. going to leave that up to you all. If you want a bio, if you can provide me with a bio, that'd be fantastic. If you want us to generate you a bio, we can do that too. So let me know if you have some content there you want. We can certainly fill that in for you. So if you don't like your picture, sorry, these are the pictures we've got. I think you all look fabulous, of course. So yeah, we're excited about that. We're excited about that going live. It's got some great functionality to it that we're really looking forward to. The agenda center is the main one.
New look.
Yeah, completely new look. I think folks will be able to find what they're looking for much more efficiently. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was it from me.
Good.
Thank you.
City Attorney Patrick, what do you got for us tonight?
Nothing for me.
All right. City Planner.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a couple items. One, Planning Commission is next week. We've got Jake's Fireworks. They're actually proposing a rezoning for a property right next to the Super 8. They also have a site plan, a development plan. And I'm really pretty pleased with working with them on some aesthetic features, making sure it meets our criteria. We've done a lot of good in some instances as well. The other item is we are still working with the Arcadian subdivision on their plat. They won't get a planning commission this month. We still have some issues with that going back and forth on it, so it's still out there, but it'll be before you probably until maybe October,
November.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. City Clerk.
I will be on vacation and out of the office next week. Kathy Bounds, our court clerk, is going to be covering for me, and I'm very excited because Kathy applied for a scholarship to the City Clerks and Municipal Finance Officers Institute starting year 1 so that she can move up to City Clerk when I retire, whenever that'll be. Not for a while yet, but I'm excited that she applied and she was awarded that scholarship. So
Great.
She'll be going to school at no cost to the city.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Council comments. Lori, you want to start?
No, I have none tonight, Mayor.
Rob?
October 4th, council meeting, I will not be present. I'll be at a conference in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And unable to call in.
Kevin?
Mike, that property that he was talking about out there, are they taking care of the right of way mowing, or are we still mowing that?
Which property?
Arcadian or Jake's?
I
Arcadian?
did mow it, oh boy, it's probably been a month and a half ago or so. We've had a bunch of rain, we can go out and check it again next year.
I just wasn't sure if we were still doing that, the hump, or if they are.
They're mowing their property, they don't
Okay.
mow the right way.
Yeah, so the right down to the ditch and probably up the back slope of the ditch is typically what we would mow. If that's the issue, we'll get them. We need to mow that.
I might have got missed.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Danny, any comments tonight?
No, but thank you for letting me be there electronically. I appreciate it, and thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Dan. I don't think I have anything tonight. So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? All right. Opposed? All right. We're adjourned. Great. Thanks for coming, guys.
That went pretty well.